Hi,
Hello,
Karima.
Daniel.
What's your name?
Yaquin.
Welcome, everyone.
This one? Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. I just need to kind of like make it slightly larger. And she said to choose about 4 stanzas of it, so let me just
Dan,
kind
do
of
you
see
mind if
what.
I mute you?
It's fine. Please.
Can I like scroll down just slightly?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, thanks. Okay, I'll just do this one.
That doesn't work. You can make it bigger.
That should be fine. It's like a 4K photo. All right.
Good?
Yeah.
Great. Hello. Hi, Sheldon. I'm muted. Hi, Sheldon.
Hi, how are you?
Good. And hello, Liz, who I don't know.
Yes, hello. I don't know you either. I was very fortunate to participate in a workshop with Ganilla and
Oh,
find out about
oh, cool.
this particular series. And most Thursday nights I'm busy, but this evening I happen to be kind of footloose. So here I am.
Good timing. Because I'm going to mute this computer. Now we go.
Oh, Joanne, did everything get fixed?
Yes,
Good. They
thank
were,
you for asking.
they were worried about that refrigerator.
Yes, no, it's fixed. Thank you.
Good.
Hi, Rabbi.
I'm gonna put on some weight eating all these fries.
Oh, it's Ava. Hi. Hello, Ava.
Hi, hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
And that's my cat saying hello.
If mine comes up, I will have him say.
Okay.
Are we starting?
That cat wants to be part of the,
Well, he does. He does.
does he have a poem to read?
He likes a company, and so whenever he hears that, I talk to somebody, he's
Sheldon.
there.
Sheldon is talking to my friend Eva from Poland. Shall we begin? I don't know how. Am I? Oh, yes, I am. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Hello, and welcome. I just realized that this is our 4th open read in honor of National Poetry Month. And the Buffalo Corner has been ongoing for soon 5 years. What we thought of as a one-time evening to honor the victims of Flight 3407 and our beloved cantor Susan Whaley of blessed memory.
Believe that they're still fighting over safety rules.
Can we mute? Yeah, please mute while we are doing the reading so we can talk. Yes, it's unbelievable that this.
Guanilla, you're also muted.
I am not. Oh, I am now. Oh, she muted everybody. Never mind. I will try again. So, anyways, that the fight for the flight safety. I saw in today's Buffalo News that the families of Flight 3407 are still fighting for safer airspace for all of us. And we are still gathering here to share poetry. And I think it says something about Buffalo. This spring season, here at the Buffalo Corner, thanks to Catherine Hastings, we have welcomed some of the greatest poets in America, such as Pulitzer Prize winners Carl Dennis and Philip Schultz, and the fabulous Alicia Ostriker. Indeed, we've been most blessed. Still, the tenacity of the Buffalo Corner is rooted in this city, in its many communities, its history, and its future. My co-host, Irene Cypus, who was born and raised here, and I, who made it my home, welcome you all tonight. We are a city of stories and poems, and I am glad that we are here to share them. So my thought was we would begin, Irene and I talked about it, we would begin a first round of poems with the people who are here in person, and then invite those people on Zoom who wish to read. And then we probably will have time, so we'll do a second round. And I wanted to start, before I invite Rabbi Alex, with a poem that literally fell out of my bag this morning, which I had completely forgotten about. It is a kind of sonnet because it's 14 lines. And it's called No Tools Needed. Writing a poem is like fishing with a hook and a net on a calm afternoon. The more you think about it, or plan what's for dinner, how you'll prepare it on the grill, salt and butter, parsley and dill, until you can smell, even taste it, the fewer fish you'll catch. It's like looking for your shadow in the garden with a rake and a hose. To find your shadow, you only have to stand still and dark in a pool of light. Rabbi.
Well, Gunilla, thank you for that beautiful poem. and I got a preview of it before, and I was just blown away with how beautiful and wonderful it is. And thanks to Irene as well for hosting. I unfortunately missed the last couple. I'm very grateful to be back. I had to do the last one from Seneca One Tower with people interrupting in the middle, so I'm very, very glad to just be able to be here in person. These are a couple of poems that I was working on recently, and they're really works in progress. This one just a few hours ago I put together, and we'll see how it goes. It's called Let Me Fill You In. As much as we try, the corners fill. The sand from the hourglass spills to the other side. My grass grows in clumps on the edge of my yard. What would it mean to leave the table crumbed, or the green moss growing along the fence, or even the moths that collect in the pantry unharmed, flying like stardust? I fill in sentences more than read them, make assumptions about where you are heading instead of just listening to your thoughts one after another after another. Is it like the way the wheel on the back of the Jeep resembles a nose, or the streaks of clouds heading up to the sky with the plane remind me of tears? No, I am not immune from sticking my nose in it, forcing myself through life like a stuck door. Why can't I just wait patient still, like water with nowhere to go except into the ground to be filled? Thank you. Work in progress. This one was for an event recently about a response to May 14th. A colleague that I saw, Rolanda Ward, at Niagara University, put this together at the History Museum several weeks ago. It was about Lamentations, using the theme of Lamentations to process the horrendous attack on May 14th last year. So this is called Lamentations on Jefferson Avenue, and I used actual lines from Lamentations, which still is such an amazing work of art. Alas, lonely sits the supermarket, once great with people, her aisles bereft of shoppers, stale bread on her shelf, sour milk sits unopened. She once bustled with life, patrons walking gingerly, employees quietly restocking bins as registers rang in sales. Bitterly she weeps now in the night. Pools of blood leave dark stains on dusty floors. Tomato sauce jars lie broken, spilling contents like human innards. Flies collect along unfrozen chunks of meat and decaying deli slices. The smell of overripe bananas wafts over refrigerators full of unsold lettuce. Outside, throngs gather to lament. They encircle the sidewalk of Jefferson Avenue, crying out the names of their still unburied family members, taken before their time. Each one its own story. Drury, Morrison, McNeil, Salter, Talley, Cheney, Patterson, Massey, Young, Whitfield, once full of life, now gone. Ministers and imams gather flocks, screaming epitaphs to the receptive ears. When will God hear our prayers, the pain too large to bear? America has greatly sinned, therefore she has become a mockery. All of whom admired her despise her, because they have seen her disgraced. Her inhabitants sigh as they search for bread. They batter their treasure for food. To keep themselves alive, see, Lord, and behold all that has befallen her. For these things do I weep. My eyes flow with tears. Far from me is any comforter. My children are forlorn, for the foe has prevailed. Let all their wrongdoing come before you. Deal with them as you have dealt with me, for my sighs are many and my heart is sick. And one last one, again, work in progress. It's called Maturity. I was just thinking about how awful middle school is, so. The tiny wisps of hair on Manny's mustache as he strutted the hallway showing it off. Charlie's glass eye and the stories he'd tell of girls' undergarments as we sat wrapped beneath him. Marina's perfume and the whispers of the underclassmen she was running off with. My bulging Adam's apple and the gap growing between my pants leg and sock. Red Manischewitz I guzzled down at Paula's bat mitzvah party. The way Ami could contort his body to get under the limbo bar. the cool way Larry chewed his pen like he was smoking a cigarette, the feeling I was failing every test except the ones given to me by teachers at school, joking laughter as I walked down the hallway to class.
Hello. Shout out to fellow Columbia University alum Rabbi Klein. I also attended Columbia for a full-time year in 2016 in the GS program. Ah, nice.
That's the general studies. It's for the second level.
It's if you have a good reason to be there. Yeah, GS is the school where if you've taken a year or more off of your education for reasons such as being a military veteran or being a professional figure skater, you can apply and kind of get a backdoor access to Columbia. My initial college credentials, for example, were not good enough to be Ivy League, but because of the GS program, I was able to attend an Ivy League university. I was drawn to come to the synagogue due to an intellectual connection. I wrote a textbook called Material in Chess. And in the 20th century, almost all of the chess world champions were Jewish players. And so I became very sort of enveloped with their narrative and having it gone through World War II. Many of them are actually Soviet players, and obviously the Soviet Union was involved in World War II. And I witnessed their struggle through those years, both as Jewish players and also as intellectuals. And
Appreciate it, but you're here to read a poem or two.
oh, okay. Sorry, yeah, I was just explaining why I decided to come here. Okay. Anyways, this poem is called All Prophecies Will Be Fulfilled. It is part of the book that I had mentioned. It's kind of has a Christian tilt to it. Calculation is a process of eternal right, its conclusions as solid as what is real. We are surrounded by mythical creatures, predictable. To understand character is to understand actions to come. The moment of your creation was the moment of your fate. The word is not oft understood to its fullest. Of course, we created room for your free will. You can determine the outcome within the bounds of power. Your deepest identity cannot be escaped. Power you gain from self-knowledge, not avoidance. Your prophetic set was the gift of your creation. It is your destiny to fulfill it to your best. All prophecies will be fulfilled. This alone is the will of God. Existence will be for all eternal, and yet all is known from the beginning. Everything that is springs from relationships between people, and thus to calculate we must understand them. Interactions among many, multiplying complexity, the most profound beauty emerges from the details. Hold on to the faith to do good. Signs will reveal themselves to you in all you meet. Sailing across the broad fabric of space and time, the laws of happenings match the laws of structure. All that is calculated will be fulfilled. This alone is the will of God's. Existence will grow for all eternity, and yet all was known from the beginning.
I'm Sinead Tyrone. I'm a Western New York poet and author. And this poem is called The Climb. It is based on, what do I need to adjust? Oh, okay. That's good. Yeah. I lack height. I'm vertically challenged. I try. This poem was written based on an experience I had years ago when I was visiting Cape Cod with a friend of mine. This is called The Climb. I remember climbing up sand dunes in Cape Cod so many years ago, how my feet struggled to catch a solid hold, how difficult progress felt, trying to advance to the summit, sliding back down, afraid I would never reach the top. Life is so often like that. 10 steps forward, 5 steps back. Climbing and sliding, we struggle to reach our goals. Sometimes the downhill slide cuts and scrapes, and our wounds hold us back for a while before trying again. I remember the wave of relief that swept over me that Cape Cod day as I reached the top of the sand dune and looked out, amazed, over ocean waters shining in the sun. Thank you.
Hi. Wait a second. Take my glasses off. I'm Pat Tansey, and I'm a poet and editor of Western New York, the Celebration of Western New York Poets, which came out in 2016. This is a poem about Monet channeling God. Oh yeah, okay. Monet's garden. If Eden was in France, it might have had shimmering chartreuse reflections of weeping trees dancing with the lavender blue phantoms and pastel green railings over a mirage of heaven. There would be a pale blue ghost in the water too, like the phantom of a god in the pale violet lilies, lit by a glimmer of chartreuse. Here is reality and essence in gorgeous coexistence. The source of light is hidden in pale violet, and the living magenta casts its dark blood shadow into the pink flora in the waterlight. The king of Eden would live in a rose and vine-covered house with a dining hall radiant as the sun, with images of geishas and egrets on the wall, and the sunflowers and asters and bright yellow and blue plates and soup tureens for his honored guests. The green patio doors would open out onto his kingdom, which can be gazed upon but from a clay green balcony. The china cabinet would be like a golden scroll revealing the bounty of his blueware platters. The chairs would be like yellow harps. The hearth would be tiled in a matrix of heaven and would have verdant vessels for wine and drink. The studio would be piled with his creations over a floral white throne of love. The kitchen would be a mystery, mosaic of heavenly blue with kettles of gold and copper. Like a god in love with his creations, he would paint delectably fairy peaches and vases of flowers dancing with spectral light. There would be glittering golden archways of blooms of ruby and amethyst, and fields with sylph-like trees dancing with riotously happy flowers. The arc of the studio would be painted, reflecting the black bow and green cabin and sienna-paneled interior on the brilliant white water. And he would paint the silver pond and the brilliant lace of the spring sky and the tall crimson and organdy flowers growing on long stems in the stream. And all his children would live there, both natural and adopted. He would create tirelessly to support them, and when the sensuous light left his eyes, he could still see it in his mind and soul, and create a world that was beyond any senses.
I just wanted to mention we have 2 more readers in the room here, unless somebody else wants to read. And then we'll go to the Zoom readers, so please let me know. I think we are few enough that we can work it out who wants to read.
Can I get in for a second?
Sure.
Joanne, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Can I do screen sharing?
Sure.
It's disabled.
Okay.
Hi, I'm David Sipos.
David, please. I was at Monet's Gardens last year. I just wanted to show some pictures of it.
Oh.
I know, but I can't.
This is what our
Daniel, it's
synagogue used to do,
magnificent.
Rabbi. We have the land, why not? But you can come out now and read.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Daniel. Go ahead.
Okay. Hi, I'm David Sipos, husband of Irene, and I wrote a poem called My Jupiter Adventure. My girlfriend, who I call Click Click because her name is unpronounceable by the human tongue, and I picnic on a ring rock some 70,000 miles out, just a 6.5-minute shuttle on the ring sling. I love your eyes, I say, all 3 of them. Click Click is not amused as she only has 2, although like all Jupiterians, they do not match in size or color. We lunch on what looks like spiderweb pate and tastes remarkably like Fleur's Double Bubble. I say something about how cool it is to be chilling with her in outer space. Click Click points to the sky, that bluish thing out there, some 500 million miles away. What is that? You know what that is, I say. It's planet Earth. Exactly, says Click Click. So who's from outer space?
Hi, I'm Irene Sipos, Ganilla's partner in crime, and thank you, everybody who's participating in celebrating April Poetry Month. And I think you do all know we were invited to read either a poem of our own or a favorite poem, in case something comes to mind. So my poem is titled April. There is so much that happens in April. And I'm recognizing that it's also the month in which I was born 2 months prematurely. April, you are so fecund. Look what you yield. Showers, snowdrops, fools and babies, exodus from Egypt, eggs on the White House lawn, lilacs, lilies, Earth Day, miraculous ascent to heaven, Holocaust remembrance, Poetry Month, Library Week, Buddha's birthday, the 4th month, the 8th day, you birthed and sheltered me. 2 months early, April, time of salt, of sweet, of death, of life. I am in your mouth. You are my month. Thank you.
So I believe I know at least 3 people on Zoom who wants to read. Who wants to go first? Can you wave? Okay, Sheldon, you go first, please.
Daniel, I can help you on Wi-Fi and answer your question. I have two poems. The first one I wrote to my wife, Deb. For a majority of
Hold on, Sheldon.
we worked different shifts. Excuse me?
Just a second. Adjusting the sound here. Say testing or something.
Testing, testing,
Better?
testing.
Keep talking.
Can you hear me?
Is that good?
Is this
Okay.
any better?
I think that's...
Okay. For the majority of our married life, we work different shifts, and it's often, you know, she works 3 to 11, I work 8 to 4. So there are large chunks of time we didn't see each other. And recently that changed, where we both got on the same shift, thankfully. And not only that, we can communicate by email. So it's just a joy to be able to spend time with Deb. Now, more and more time with Deb, that we work the same hours. And we communicate via email during the day, which I think is really kind of nice. And occasionally we'll write a little love note to each other. And I wrote this to her. And it's called "And I to You." I am alone. I feel apart, left out from the crowd. At times I am lonely. Do I even matter? But then I remember you.
Wait, Meryl, so give me a call when you get
But then I remember you, and a smile comes to my face. You bring joy to my life, and a love into my heart. You matter to me, and I to you. And this next one is called "Empty Boots," and it's pretty self-explanatory. Land has changed hands again and again. Ruin is everywhere. Dead bodies line the streets among the broken glass. Tanks, missiles, and guns litter the landscape. There is a body. A crowd gathers round. They spit on his corpse and grab anything they can. He has no identification. Who is he? A picture in his pocket. Who is she? A lover, perhaps? She will never see him again. Someone will miss him. He will be buried, but no one will know who or where he is. His family will search, but will never find him. Closure will never come for them. How did he die? Did he die alone? Was he someone's son, father, or brother? No one will ever know. Thank you.
I'm coming up behind here, but Eva, would you read your poem now?
Okay. The title is Her First Memory. Her mother sat at the breakfast table and read her a story, trying to ignore the sounds of shooting out in the street. And then a horde of Russian soldiers, the liberators, broke into the house. 2 of them attacked the mother, pinned her down to the floor. The others plundered the place, breaking, stealing everything inside. One pulled the doll out of her hands. She kept screaming at the top of her voice. An officer rushed in through the open door. The soldiers fled to the garden. One loud shot through the window. A bloodied, mangled body on the ground.
Thank you, Eva. I hope you'll come and read again. Now we have Liz. Please.
Yes, hello. Thanks for inviting me and telling me about this session. Hello from Albany. I'm not a Buffalonian, but I am. I think maybe have in common with a lot of folks that I am watching my parents in the last stages of their lives, and that has something to do with this poem, which is called I Gave No Time. I gave no time to grief. I let debit after debit rack up in the backroom ledger book, while I displayed my P&Ls in the front office, balanced like twins on a seesaw. Wouldn't you know, the crank came to collect, cold-cocked me, crashed like a thunderclap over a small boat at sea, and for reasons so flimsy a house of cards would not have swayed. My phony tallies fell as tired petals fall from stems stuffed in a bin. What had I been thinking? My credits were all fictions, the uncounted debits woodworms making dinner of my sagging frame. It was just some words I said, mother and sing, that threw me to the dust and tore my little sail to shreds. Thank you.
Was that, maybe it was meant to be that way. So I think we will have time for a second round. You wanted to read a poem? Oh, okay. So, Irene?
And Karima, do you have a poem? Yes.
Oh, okay.
Good, okay.
Go ahead, please. Karima.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me okay? Yes. Well, I chose this poem. I'm sorry, my name's Karima Bondi, and I'm a Buffalonian. And I chose this poem because it's about dandelions and an experience I had with my youngest daughter quite a few years ago. The title is Protection. One spring day, when my youngest was 7 or 8, I found her carefully arranging an arc of dandelions at our front doorstep. She matter-of-factly informed me that the dandelions kept us protected. How so? I asked. She gestured to the lawn beside ours with its dandelion-free turf, compliments of Chemlawn, and then back at ours, studded throughout with tufts of yellow. Mom, she replied in a pitiful tone, if you were a robber, which house would you rob? Theirs or ours? The answer was clear. Thus, the dandelion arc. On that ordinary spring day, those dandelions gave us much more than any security system ever could. They gave us yellow and soft safety. They surrounded us with the fragile quality of a child's sense of order. And I dare say, no self-respecting robber would dare tread on our curve of yellow and disturb our happy home. Thank you.
Thank you, Karima. I want you all to know that Karima Bondi is responsible for the wave of No Mo May in Buffalo, New York. So thank you very much. And if you ever are lucky enough to get invited to Karima's house for dinner, do go. I'm sorry? Oh, no mow means that we don't mow our lawns. We let the flowers and the dandelions and the weeds grow, and then the bees have a home, right?
Right.
Right. So we are all for it. Our lawn is a mess. And we like it that way. Thanks to you, really. We need to think about these things. So I think we are ready to start a second round. I will read a poem, and then we just go through whoever is here and online and see how it goes. So I wanted to read this poem because some of you know I do play classical guitar, and the poem is about guitar shops, 4 continents. Why, God, is it that when a woman walks into a guitar shop, humble or renowned, the man behind the counter sports a smile that snakes around his face like the alleyways leading up to Red Alhambra as he hunts through his teeth and sighs while he brings forward his cheapest instrument, pointing to a low chair by the door without a footstool or a moment of peace, while dust and noise stream in, blend with the glory of a Bach prelude traveling from major to relative minor to the 5 of 5, and I shake my head while I want to shake the unresponsive guitar, and I really want to shake the young man with his black mustache, which blinds him to the fact that women can play too, and have better rhythm or ear than he does. And what about God, who could turn the driftwood guitar golden with a snap?
I love the poetry tonight. Thank you to those of us online and those of us here in the room. It's wonderful. I feel on such a beautiful day that we've been given that extra spirit, even though we're inside here. We just, as you know, Ramadan is completing, and we had Passover and Easter. This is the first time in 30 years that all of the holidays of spring aligned. This is a poem I wrote in Jerusalem that's about the convergence of these 3 different religions. It's called A Shared View. What if Moses had brought a map, Jesus a clock, Muhammad a mountain? Would we have chosen another promised land, another tomb to rise, another dream of flying? Would that winding path be any less windy, the stone floor any less broken, the journey any less complicated? Would we wash one another's hands when we left, kissed doors and camels, brought different earrings to give out to our hosts? Would we have allowed love to wash over us instead of hate, laughter instead of tears, joy instead of heartbreak? Would we, when we arrived, would we be greeted by throngs of supporters, of destroyers, come in as captives or celebrated guests? Would we recognize God in one another's eyes, lifting one another up as we sang and danced in our respective languages? Would you stand beside me, holding my hand, and look deeply in my eyes, telling me that you were so glad I arrived? Would I kiss you back, cheek to cheek, indicating my love and appreciation without any words at all? And there, in our now shared Holy Land, would we fold our maps, place our watches in our pockets, look out at mountains beckoning us beyond our own gates?
Okay, this poem is called Sailing Odessa Waters. I've never been to Odessa. I've only sailed once, briefly. But watching the Ukraine war play out on TV last year, I had to create some kind of a positive viewpoint to get me through what I was seeing. I once sailed Odessa's waters, felt silky smoothness as hulls slipped over their surface and the warmth of their gentle breezes. I can still smell the salt air and hear gulls' cries as they circled overhead, white wings shining against blue sky, and Odessa's waters even bluer, the color of topaz glistening in sunlight. We ate cheese and bread and drank wine, and our dreams unfurled before us, as full as the sails that glided us across the wide open sea. We sailed that day until sunset, watched orange pall unbroken slide below horizon, and the stars emerge overhead. We wished on those stars, one wish for every new pinpoint light. And we laughed that day and sang songs, silly ones from childhood and deeper ones born over time. I can still feel your hand as you guided me back onto dock, and your soft breath as you whispered your love for me. Thank you.
This is an old poem in honor of Poetry Month. In the country of poetry, the door is always ajar to legends. The mythical lives next door. Dragons and dreams live behind broken fences in the country of poetry. Every man is a city with 1,000 roads leading to the heart. Every heart has an angel and a vampire in the country of poetry. Each story has 1,000 endings. Some are mouths of dragons that swallow you to an abyss of pain, but a train of verses takes you from closure to transcendence in the country of poetry. Peeking around every corner of space-time are tricksters who steal the present, turning anticipation to regret. But a frame of words snatches it back again for all eternity in the country of poetry. Sometimes we have no elders who help us see which course to take, but bygone poets are the magic crones and gardeners who guide us through the darkened woods in the country of poetry. At night, the stars are a storybook. Perseus saves the princess by showing evil its ugliness. The winged horse throws a proud prince to his disgrace. And Hercules and Gilgamesh slay the same eternal dragon, as told by the Shezherods of the sky in the country of poetry. Fog can have whiskers, dust can be a marble, fast talking stars regale the sky. The sun can be a hammer, and moonlight have fingers. Birds can be notes upon a line. Gardens teem with fables, and dreams have sails in the country of poetry. Illusions are winking windows to deeply parallel worlds. They are the quick change artists that elude their designations in the country of poetry. You can greet dawn's blind archers with Lorca, toast the moonlight with Lepo, see the dance whirl Pindar's muses, or roam the evening with Rimbaud. There are no borders or time zones in the country of poetry. Here we can surpass all understanding. Falling leaves are the sign language of God. We see divinity spiraling in seashells. We paint the landscape of our minds across the stars. When we gather ourselves together, galaxies dancing in our minds, we see the particles of dust caressing, see the waves of love across the waves of time. Lingering in the cafe of the soul, we mingle with the eternal mind in the mystical, magical streets of the country of poetry.
This is a little poem by, this is a little poem by Marie Howe. It was on the subways in Manhattan in September 2020. the moment. Oh, the coming out of nowhere moment when nothing happens. No, what have I to do today list. Maybe half a moment, the rush of traffic stops, the whir of I should be, I should be, I should be, slows to silence, the white cotton curtains hanging still.
So our Zoom readers, anybody who wants to read a second poem, can you kind of let me know? Eva and Liz, very good. Eva, you want to go first?
The title is, I never introduced myself. I'm Eva Bashinska, and I live in Cambridge, Massachusetts. The title is Drusilla. I am Drusilla, the elder one of the two ugly, wicked stepsisters. I have abhorred Cinderella since the very first day I saw her in the house of my mother's new husband. Then, a wisp of a girl, she already showed signs of great beauty and an amazing force of character. My sister Anastasia has not despised her so much, but she would always follow my advice. I would have loved to tear up Cinderella's worn-down braided gown, force her into a burly, scratchy hair shirt, shave her head down to the skin, and throw out her ash-sprinkled braids onto a pile of refuse. My hatred has had no bounds. I would have killed her had I had the guts, had Anastasia not refused to help me, and my mother not stepped in.
Liz, you want to go?
Shall I go, Gunilla?
Yes, please.
Okay. Having just met you, and we are all poets together. I hope this is appropriate. It's called Poets After Work. I met some poets in a bar after work. Scattered empties said they'd been there hours, but they weren't the loud and rowdy kind. Work and time had blown the smack out of them. No flashy Marlowes here, tempting death. They sat, seeking restoration like other working stiffs. You could see it was hard work, from the road grit, the sweatshirt stains, the streaky sweat, dried like varnish on their cheeks and necks. You could see it was hard work, from the heavy boots and heavy tools hanging from leather belts, the hard hats and harnesses jangling with steel clips and iron rings, their instruments sized to every task, some massive for a giant's grip, others sensitive as the smallest gear in a grandpa's pocket watch. Who could blame them? Facing down the next day's work, grasping their unyielding tools, with danger gloating over each attempt to lever the merciless machine, at risk of coming home with mangled hand or limb. Thank you.
I think it looks like we can get ready for number 3. That's a first at the Buffalo Corner, so thank you, my friends. And I know Eva has a lot of translations too, if you would like to join us reading one of those. Well, we prefer one of your own, of course, but you know that. So I wanted to start number 3 here with a poem that was just published in Tikkun magazine. And it's an interesting poem because the title gives you the answer to the end. So you have to think of it as a little bit of a circle. Old man ties the string while I breathe. Air tightens, dust from outside, smoke coasting along our stubborn train, time crooked and bent like the ancient roads for miles, carrying wood and grapes up and down the mountain outside the window. No name in my books, and I am forgetting my own, as the uniformed man screams. Dogs think we'll understand them if they bark louder. Time wrinkles its nose at his sweat and bends my head down. His shoes, one dusty, one polished like a mirror. Bistri, faster! I must hurry, but doing what? I pull out my passport to show him, meek fake smile under my bangs, hand ignored, shoes closer, knee grinds against mine, lifting my skirt. He bends, knife in hand. To buy time, I say, tak, Russian for stalling. Between my legs, he pulls out my package. Too impatient, he cuts the string. Snip, snip. He tears the wrapping, stares at me. Without a word, he leaves to read a stolen, 2-week-old newspaper.
Did we invite anybody else who's Zooming? Karima? No? Okay, just want to be sure. Wait, the rabbi has left.
And this one, I'm going to take you to Ireland. This is called Erosion and Endurance. Every year in spring, I climb the hill upon which celebrated castle ruins stand, join the throng of tourists with their cameras ready. I try to keep myself separate from their constant chatter, remain outside while they enter to hear the docent's oft-repeated words. I know every stone, every square inch of this citadel and its manicured grounds, yet still stand transfixed by its stately presence. Note where harsh wind and rain have opened another crack in granite, and wildflower shoots force their way along another wall. My favorite corner is the one where layers of brick and stone stand exposed. Try to discern their construction as I try to understand my own life's layers. What has worn away, what still holds. Each spring, as new leaves emerge under a warming sun, and azaleas and fuchsia unfurl their vibrant colors, I make this trek, take stock of what has lost a bit more of its strength and what will still endure. Thank you very much.
Okay, so again, thank you everybody for contributing and participating. I'll read one little poem for Poetry Month. I mean, I didn't write it for Poetry Month, but it seems fitting. And then Gunilla will whet your appetite for what's coming in May, right? Okay, so poetry. Don't do it because you want to get something off your chest. It's not about your chest. It's about what wants to sound itself out, to skip and slide into shapes of spaces and swooshes, spoken or broken in lines on the page. Don't do it to shove it in a drawer. You have enough stuff in your drawer. Don't save it, spend it, send it, donate it to a pocket, leave it on a subway seat, scrawl it on a rock, chalk it on a wall. Don't lock it, don't block it. Place 2 poems in closed fists and offer this hand or that. And April 27th is Poetry Pocket Month. So maybe everybody wants to go around with a poem in a pocket and hand a poem out to whomever you encounter at work, in the store. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Irene. I understand why one of Buffalo's best pianists married her. Did you hear all those sounds in that squishy whooshy poem? It was fabulous. I just want to mention before we say goodnight, thank you, Irene. She stands by me, you know what I mean, after all this time. So as we wrap up, I'll mention next month, we have our annual Mystery Night with Gary Earl Ross and guests, and it will be on May 18th. So he will be here, and he has his guests, and yeah, we all come and just enjoy. And also, we have an evening in June, on June 15th, with Sherry Robbins, who's a very famous poet here from Buffalo, New York, and Bert Freeman, who has written a fabulous, very thick book about a Jewish family from Soviet Union, Russia, the revolution. I think that would be very interesting. So those like Sinead, you are writing historical novels, you would really like to hear him read because he writes very well. And yeah, that's it, folks. The end. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Anybody else wanted to say or add anything on Zoom?
No, just thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll keep it up.
Recording stopped.
It was a little, when I was there in 2020, it was a little section of one of the walls where the outer layer was worn away, and an inner layer of brick was exposed, and I just pictured it. That's me. Oh, yeah. Oh, they, you know, I don't remember what county, Marty Castle is in. Thanks, thanks. Marty Castle is kind of in the lower third of Ireland, but I get the county names all confused. bloopers and hide in it, but let me give you a no idea. No matter what person. Oh, you're really gorgeous. Oh, thank you so much. UBC. I saw the rainbow. Okay. My email address is on here. Feel free to email me. Tell me, remind me who you are, and I can email you.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
All right.
Yes. Thank you. God bless you.
reservation. We have enough.
three of us, and then
Four,
Jay
five.
and
Yeah, Jay and
And Chris.
Chris. All right,
So fine.
so she's there, he's there. That's what I mean about the, well, tilting.
We should probably like take the ones off that we're not gonna use, so there's more room, maybe.
Or
Like
put-
only leave 5 chairs up there or something.
Yeah,
Or you wanna use this area down here too?
that's what I'm saying, so I'm
Yeah.
wondering.
might have to.
I mean, the thing is, I have to plug in, and there's my plug.
There.
And you don't have any synthesizers, any synthesized drums this time.
No.
Oh, yeah, well, pretty much, I can,
We don't need this.
no,
No.
and I need. Well, you could do it sort of like the Beach Boys too, you know? I mean, if I have this here, Mike could be here. I would think actually, just my opinion, 2 in front, 3 in the second row. You know? I mean, this thing, you know, I don't know, we don't have to really face each other. Oh, wait, we have 6. We have 6.
Oh.
Except that
Well,
he's
right,
gonna
but
do,
he's-
yeah, but when he's doing the fiddle.
Well, if he does the fiddle, come on.
Yeah. This is why I was asking the questions.
Yeah, I know.
It was clear as mud to me.
So now it's 3 and 3, so.
Well, he would be right here, just like he was before the band, you know, I mean, the Beach Boys.
That's true. He could just,
He could
put a
be-
chair down.
I'm
there.
almost seeing it like before, that
Why
you're
don't we-
here,
Yeah.
and Jay is here, and then Mike, Chris, and I are up here, just like the Beach Boys.
We do that. I need to see,
Ken?
yeah, Ken, thank you. Because that one opening song.
Well, I have to see, I don't have to see Frank, I mean, because I'm doing the lead in on the bass, and I'm as late as you're at.
But Mike, you need to see Arlene or Ken, right?
Yeah, I like to keep an eye on Arlene, yeah. It helps.
Would you be better towards that end then? Which gives you.
Which end?
To be over on that end?
Yeah, probably.
Because then you can see everybody.
See, I think for me, I would like to be here so that this, well, this is always the controversial thing. I want to blow everybody out. Although I think she talks more about when it's being broadcast, you know.
Yeah, but you could just put it underneath your.
Well, this would go on a seat behind me. Actually, that's how it works. Although it's pretty much extreme, it's pretty much in the corner. Are they gonna hear it?
I think everybody will hear it.
Was that?
I think everyone will hear it.
Yeah. I'm getting better control, I know.
Yeah, your volume's good.
Yeah. I've reprimanded in a while. I don't know if I miss it or not.
Yeah, it blends in good.
Yeah. I'm getting a feel for it. So, I put this here and I sit here. And then my bass is there. Now I have to figure out where to put my harmonica. So, I guess that's not happening.
You get to play it all the way through. I just have to acknowledge.
Well, I love when you said, well, you know, you have to also bring your instruments. I go, yeah, this little planner, here it is. Here's my instrument. That's the D, that was the harmonica I replaced, because the other one had wooden reeds, and you could not hit the bottom two. You blow as hard as you could, nothing would come out.
I bought that new web, and it took like almost 2 weeks for the reeds to open up on it.
Really?
Yeah, I had notes on it for like a couple of weeks, and then all of a sudden it just started to open.
Actually, that's true, even with reeds, when he's a reed in the saxophone, it has to also break in. So it's, you know, this is wood.
partner in Richmond, probably, because Maureen was.
I talked to her sometime about her cousin. That's my old girlfriend. So intimidated by her because she was such a bombshell.
Do we want people down here, we could just do three and three. And that-
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Well, yeah, you Frisch, Jay was.
Frisch could be at the end.
Jay likes to be here. He likes to be.
Yes, he likes
in
to
front.
see.
He likes the attention. And you were down there before, the two guitars together, and then Mike, Chris, and I in this room. I mean, what do you think?
I don't know, I could sit up here too, let Chris down.
Well, whoever gets this gets the. So I'd be quite satisfied right here. Let me see. That's not good, I'm fine. Yeah, actually, this is. Yeah, this is good.
I might sit over here because I need to see Ken.
Well, I'm just saying, yeah, we need, because you have 4 chairs here, if you take one away, it's gonna be in much better shape. Yeah, you can, and Mike,
Or down there.
I'll
Just
be
be in
in
the middle between you.
yeah. And then we can do.
So that's really all we need.
We can sing that song, back in the middle with you, mouse to the left, me, drummers to the right.
Drummers to the right of me.
Harmonica to the left of me, harmonica to the right. You know, if we do ever do a Beatles thing and we do like Love Me Do, instead of using a chromatic, then I could take, one's a G and one's a D, I think. So you could take, we could just normal blues harp done, and one could do the what's it called, not refrain, the 8-bar, and then the other could do the other, of course. Probably would sound beautiful. Yeah, I'm set up. I think I'm good here. And this is right here, so that if I'm coming in too loud, I can hear it. The other thing is.
Is it gonna be anybody else up here? I forgot. I don't, I think 3 and 3 we said, because we'll use Frisch. I can sit to the side, so if you want to be in the middle or the end, whichever works for you.
Yeah, I think I'm very comfortable here. And also with the big bass going out. So if you ever do Ashley Bader, put you right in the front, put me halfway out the door.
That was funny at one time.
But then I brought that mini sax and they were all laughing at that. That one actually sounds all right.
No, that does sound
And I don't know what their problem was on that one.
I don't know.
All right, so you're gonna be here?
Yeah, I think I'll